Retirement planning, it's not just about money. How do you want to feel? What do you want to do? How do you want to live? Can you picture it? Picturing a retirement plan. That's next on the Compounding Change podcast.
This is the Compounding Change Podcast, sharing stories of small but meaningful changes that compound into amazing impact. Brought to you by Shannon Davis and DavisCompoundingChange.com. Change happens fast. Take advantage. Discussions on this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Retirement Plan Advisors LLC, a federally registered investment advisor. Cambridge Investment Research and Retirement Planning Advisors are not related to DavisCompoundingChange.com or this podcast. Now, here's your host, Shannon Davis.
Welcome back to Compounding Change and our special mini-series, Do Something. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my sister and co-host, Jenna. And today's show happens to be brought to you by Jenna Stoliker, leadership coach and retreat guide. You can learn more at jennastoliker.com. Today's episode's a big one because we're talking about retirement, so near and dear to my heart, but not in the traditional, how much money do you need to save way, but we're asking on more personal question, like what are you retiring to?
Right. Yeah. And that's the reason why we're asking that is because I think so often when people talk about retirement, it's about leaving something, like leaving a job, leaving the stress behind. But rarely do we ever ask, like, what are you stepping into? And what kind of life are you trying to create in this phase of your life?
Right. I hear people say, and I've said it myself, I want to travel more. And that's awesome. But have you thought about what it actually takes to make that dream real? Have you practiced traveling to see what you like and don't like? I mean, some people talk about getting in an RV and going across the country, and maybe you hate it when you thought you were going to do it for a year of retirement, right? Also, what do things cost? What does it physically cost you? Like, can you handle what you envision if you want to go hiking or do all of that? Or can you financially afford to do the type of vacation you want to do? And it's not all just about vacationing, but what you see yourself doing. Maybe it's another
Yeah.
career, maybe another job in retirement.
Yeah. No, those are all really good questions, Shannon, because I think what we're talking about is marrying where will you be at that point in your life when you're ready to retire?
Mm-hmm.
And what are your capabilities? And then marrying that with, well, what are you envisioning? And doing a bit of a reality check
Right.
around that.
Mirroring, not marrying.
Yeah,
Right?
sorry.
Okay. Just clarifying.
Yeah, some of that.
Right.
Yeah, there are some words that might be hard for me to say.
Right. Got it.
And-
I heard it two different ways. So,
okay. So, and what it brings up for me is something that we talked about, like being near and dear to our hearts. And that is because I'm kind of living that right now. I'm not ready for retirement.
Right.
However, Aaron and I actually started thinking about a little bit about like what will retirement look like when we hit 50 years old. That was a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we called it our Stoliker 5.0 plan.
Yeah.
And that was, again, a big like list maker, right? We started making a list of what do we want to do? What would be fun? What haven't we been able to do so far in life? And we started to map out what we wanted just for the decade, not for like what would retirement look like. It was like a little mini practice. What can we do and accomplish in our 50s that would bring us joy, would feel like it's meaningful and purposeful, and tied it, to some of our own core values. But one of the big ones for us was spending more time outdoors and more travel, because we also had this thought of come 65-ish or so, whenever we, actually do retire, what will our health be like? We're planning on it to be pretty darn good, but we
Definitely.
never know.
Right.
So like, let's take advantage of this now in our 50s. And that's actually what really was the impetus for us making this move from Michigan to Arizona, because we wanted better weather. We wanted easier access to hiking, and it placed us closer to the places we hadn't fully explored, which was this whole like west and the southwest of the United States. So
Right.
that's kind of what was coming up for me.
I absolutely love that. I think that's awesome. It's not just though about the bucket list, because we've talked about bucket lists. That's important, but to actually, I mean, you guys gave yourself the lifestyle that you want retirement to flow into, not just
Yes.
what you envision for the future. So it's not just about downsizing or simplifying, it's about designing your
Mhm.
life about what really
Yeah.
mattered to you guys specifically. I mean, everybody's their own person and what they see, but you guys, what mattered to you.
Yes, so true, right? Because it wasn't just about what we wanted to do. It's what we wanted to feel. Like we wanted to
Mhm.
feel more energized, more connected, more free to explore. And when I say connected, it was I don't know, just lifestyle stuff. We wanted to feel more connected to each other and have that time and that space to really nurture our relationship.
Energized.
Energize.
That
Yeah.
makes me think of my 5 a.m. class this morning. We were not energized, but it's Monday. That's a whole nother thing. So circle back to planning. So let's talk about what often gets overlooked, the actual logistics of this transition. You guys did that. You guys decided that it wasn't advantageous to have the two households and just do kind of a temporary thing in Arizona, that it actually served
Mhm.
you better to move there, to have that, and then you could visit Michigan. Um, but retirement isn't just a finish line, it's a new beginning. And if you want to feel confident stepping into that, there's some important things to consider financially and legally. And I know you guys considered a lot of that. Some things that I like to share with clients. So, not to make this all about the finances, but it is leading into retirement. The biggest thing that I try to share is just check out your Social Security benefits. Check out where you are with your quarters, and the impact of taking your benefits early versus waiting, because that can influence the timing of when you retire as well. Knowing when to sign up for Medicare. I have an episode coming up, or by the time this one airs, it'll have been on already. But check that out. I mean, there's a lot of important information to know about Medicare that we just think that things are just going to come to us. Of course, I you know, can't go without saying to review your retirement portfolio. Your investment strategy, Jen, you know this well, but your 40s are going to look different than your 60s. It's just a fact. I
Mhm.
mean, you're 20 years later, what have you done with it? Also think about cash reserves approaching retirement. And a big one that I've been preaching to a lot of clients lately, and we've had this discussion, is your estate planning documents. Critically, crucial information. Are they up to date? A lot of people are like, "Oh, got that. All good," but it's not current.
Ah, so important, like so very important. And I do know, like you've always like you don't have to do it all at once, but you do need to start. Worked hard to get where you are, but now what? Hi, I'm Jenna Stoliker, a leadership coach who helps people navigate change with intention, so you don't just survive the next chapter, you grow through it. Whether you're stepping into something new or wondering what's next, let's find your next right step. Learn more at jennastoliker.com.
Just, I mean, one step at a time. Again, you go back to the list, right? Just start ticking them off. But the people who struggle the most in retirements are usually ones who didn't think beyond not working. They didn't ask themselves, a big one is what will give my days purpose. I've talked to the kids about purpose, and that's not just something new in retirement, but when you're not doing what you've always done, what does that look like, right? What gives you meaning? We've talked about this. Mom still volunteers at into her 80s. Don't but she still volunteers and does stuff. But I did recently read a book, because of course, my nerding out and stuff, this is what's interesting to me, but How to Retire by Christine Benz. If anybody hasn't read it or wants a book to read, I thought it was great. It broke down the chapters, but there was a reference that really stuck with me on planning for retirement. And if you want to spend your retirement watching TV, you're good, because that's exactly what you're going to end up doing if you don't have a plan.
Yeah, that is so true. Sorry, pause on that one. I'm thinking about just different people that I know, and as we talk about retirement, some of them, that's all they want to do. They're like, I work so hard, I just want to stay put. And I'm
Sometimes I
thinking,
want to just do that. Like, just give me a day.
right, right.
Netflix, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right. But but going back a few. minutes prior to that, the question we're really wrestling with is, what will give you meaning and purpose? What will
Mm-hmm.
that look like? It's a different phase in your life. And, I think that what we're really talking about is also addressing, I mean, there's the logistics of, when do I take Medicare? Should I be saving a little more right now as I get maybe closer to retirement, or wherever you are in your working career? But there's also a mental and an emotional side of
Mm-hmm.
retirement. And here's what I do know to be true, is that I think so many of us derive our identity from our work. It's what we do. It's the title, it's the routine. And when that disappears, it can feel really disorienting.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, I joke about wanting to spend that time just watching TV, but that's because we've got such a busy life and such a routine. When that's day after day after day, is that really what you want to do? I mean, we spend decades working, saving, striving, and all of a sudden it can come to a screeching halt and feel like a blank slate. So it's not always this big celebration and then boom, we start living our lives or stop living it, essentially.
Oh, right. And let's just name it. Retirement doesn't mean you stop growing, right? You're
Hmm.
still evolving. You're still capable of contribution, of creativity, of joy, right? But it does help to reflect on the question, like, what brings me meaning now, right? How do I want to show up for myself and others?
Yeah,
Simple.
especially during a life transition like this, when everything's shifting, it's easy to get swept up in what you're walking away from and what you're missing out on instead of getting curious about what you're walking toward.
Yeah.
So, if you're someone who's inching toward retirement or just even thinking about it, what's something they can do right now, Jen?
Okay. So, if as you're getting closer to retirement or just thinking about it, I would encourage you to write down a few
Ah,
things.
the lists. No, I'm
I
kidding.
know, the list.
Right.
Let's it's nice to say a few things. It could be whatever. Let's just say five. Write down five things that you want more of in your life just over the next decade. Don't, I mean, because if you're even further out from retirement than maybe I am, just focus on a decade. And
Mhm.
it's not just like travel or free time, but like, how do you want to feel? Like, how do you want to feel in your body? How do you want to feel emotionally? If you feel like you're really struggling right now with like the emotional stuff, maybe on that list is, I want to feel more at peace. Right? It
Mhm.
doesn't always have to be like a particular destination, but just start with the list. I hate to say it, but yes,
Mhm.
the list.
Well, to that point though, I think it's important to, like you said, not just writing down travel or free time or something like that, but it's getting specific. Um,
Yeah.
Back to I mentioned earlier a bucket list. With bucket lists, we're specific about where we want to go, what we want to do, what actions. I want to skydive. That's where I want to skydive. I'd like to be attached to somebody else. That's specific for me. I want them to have a
You want to do a
desire to
tandem
live
skydive.
before we jump out of that plane. But, I mean, be specific with those things. And,
Yeah.
if you're not sure where to start, again, maybe you're thinking of starting a business. Check that out. Check out specifics of that. Check out the Social Security website. We'll put some stuff in the links or some ideas in the
Yeah.
links and show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably the biggest takeaway, if there's anything from this conversation today, is just remember, like, whether you're 5 years away or 5 months out from retirement, it's not an ending, right? It
Hmm.
is a beginning, and the more intentional you are, the more fulfilling it can be.
Definitely. But you also don't want to not live now just looking forward to that. And so, as you mentioned earlier, that 5 year, 10 year, it's like when in planning, we often talk about buckets. This is my 5 year bucket. This is my 10-year bucket, and investing things differently. Same thing like this, 5 years out. In 5 years, I want to be here. In 10 years, I want to be here. So I think life is just about planning. Call it lists or not, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it can be. All right, all
So
right. I'll leave it up to
I'm
you, Shannon.
Yeah, short and sweet today. Just wanted to give you something to think about. So we hope this episode inspired you to take that next small step. Be sure to subscribe, like, follow this podcast so you don't miss it. Until then, take care and keep doing something that matters.
This has been the Compounding Change Podcast with Shannon Davis. If you are a firefighter or first responder, you know that change happens fast. Life changes, finance changes, compounding change. Shannon Davis is a certified retirement counselor who understands the needs of Ohio Association of Professional Firefighters members. Click on daviscompoundingchange.com to learn more. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Retirement Plan Advisors LLC, a federally registered investment advisor. Cambridge Investment Research and Retirement Planning Advisors are not related to daviscompoundingchange.com or this podcast. Please note that investment involves risk and no statements made in this recording are indicative of future performance. The Compounding Change Podcast is brought to you by Shannon Davis.